Hello, everyone. I'm Samir Khosla. I'm the Vice President of Product Management and one of the leaders for our new HCM Communicate platform within Oracle's HCM Cloud team. And thank you all for joining me today. Today, we're going to talk about taking your HR communications to the next level. And as we get started, I think we need to start first with a safe harbor slide, as we always do, as we also talk about some things that may be future-facing functionality. So with Oracle Me, which we launched earlier this spring, you've probably seen us announce a really important initiative for Oracle HCM Cloud, which is a new employee experience platform. Oracle Me is the complete employee experience platform that really enables organizations to take their talent and make it a much more engaging experience for your talent as they go about their day-to-day experience at your company. Oracle Me has many different pillars, several of which I can touch on here in this slide. And then today we'll focus on HCM Communicate pillar for the rest of this presentation. But before we go there, let's talk about some of the other pillars with Oracle Me. The Journeys pillar, which is there at the top. With Journeys, we have a really interesting capability where you can actually compose guided experiences for your teams. With Journeys, your team can now take something that may be complicated, that's something that may not happen very frequently, and have a very step-by-step guided approach in getting that process done. The process doesn't necessarily have to be something that is within Oracle applications. It can also be composing a process that may be extending outside of Oracle applications. So Journey is a very powerful capability, one of the most important aspects of the employee experience platform, and something that has been widely adopted already. Along with Journeys, the other thing that really helps empower your talent to connect and to grow is Connections. So Connections is all about having a place for your talent to tell everyone else more about themselves, talk about who they are, what they are all about as people, both within work, outside of work, what they're looking to do, maybe skills they're looking to build, roles they're looking to take on, and also feedback that they've received from their peers at the company and others. So Connections really helps build those networks within your company and also becomes another key pillar of the employee experience platform. We'll touch quickly on a couple of others. We're launching now Oracle Touchpoints, which is all about managers having the ability to easily pulse their teams, the direct teams or their extended teams, and have a view into how everyone in the organization is doing. HR Help Desk to enable the employee experience when they need to reach out to your HR team for something. And Digital Assistant, which is all about making all of these experiences come together in new conversational ways and not just traditional text and mouse clicks. So with all of those pillars, and now with HCM Communicate, we've actually come with a full employee experience platform that empowers your talent, that helps them connect, that helps them grow, that helps them thrive, and really takes your culture to the next level. One of the key points about what employee communications needs to happen in your organization is actually set forth by Josh Bersin. Josh, a well-known analyst in our space. Many of you probably follow Josh and read a lot of his content. I think he put it very well as, our world has changed so much in the last couple of years. Communications has just become a mission-critical CEO-level connected effort that, is all about reaching your organization fast, effectively, accurately. And communication as a foundation for HR to achieve its goals in so many of different aspects is highlighted by some of these statistics. When employees are satisfied with the frequency and clarity of communications from their employer, the results are staggering, right? they are more likely to be holistically well. I mean, almost 3 times more likely to feel valued and appreciated, 156% more likely to be resilient, more likely to feel productive. All of this starting from that foundation of employee feeling satisfied with communications from their company. So we've gone and introduced a new pillar with Oracle Me, which is Oracle HCM Communicate. With this, we now help HR teams to take ownership of employee communication directly. With the Oracle HCM Communicate platform, you can own your audience. You can drive those behaviors that matter to your organization. And very importantly, you can measure the impact of the communication so that you can actually see what's working and make improvements so that the next time you can have even more impact and do even better. Let's go deeper into exploring what HCM Communicate is all about. We talked about planning, executing, and measuring communications. HCM Communicate is a new module built into our Oracle HCM Cloud. Now, with it being part of Oracle HCM Cloud, one of the most important capabilities that we have is targeted audiences. Now, unlike what you may be doing with your communication platforms today, let's say they're email lists or something that is sitting in an external system, you don't have all of the data to really think about targeting to very specific subsegments of your populations. With Oracle HCM Cloud, you have a lot of data about your employees, and our eligibility profile engine actually is a way for us to give you a lot of that data in terms of being able to slice and dice those populations. So you may be able to target an audience of just the employees in a particular location, or maybe even more specifically, employees in a particular location that have a level of a certain employment level in your organization, or employees in a certain location that have other assignment attributes, or employees in a certain location that have signed up for a certain type of benefit plan. I mean, all kinds of possibilities that your data within core HR already has, and you can use to target and make those communications highly, highly relevant to the right people. Now, with that targeted audience, then you need to be able to communicate with clarity, with consistency with your brand, and really, what employees are expecting now is rich content. And that rich content is something that we give you templates and rich control over currently with your communications through our email channel. And in a couple of quarters, we're actually going to be introducing ability to send these communications over SMS as well. So the content can be as rich as you would like in channels that support that, like email, or fast and easy to consume in channels that are much more direct and easy to consume for your employees, like SMS. And with all of these communications, we enable you to measure that impact. We give you the things like open rates, click rates. We actually have ways for you to even collect responses within your communication. So you can create either response buttons or links, and we'll track all of those for you so that you can actually get feedback or collect data from your employees as part of your communication. With all of those capabilities, we've given control back into the HR teams, so you now can reach your employees with a solution that's built for HR. It's all about you delivering personalized communication, can influence change, build your culture, and do this in a way that is consistent with your brand. People want to feel connected with your employer, and with Oracle HCM Communicate, your HR team can do that much more easily than you have been. Let's go into a few examples. We let you drive employee programs. You may be doing all of these communications today. You probably have benefits enrollment cycles. You need to provide the content, drive enrollment, All of those things can now happen directly from your HR system versus having to do that from a different system where, again, you're maybe exporting data and trying to decide, who best to send certain communications to. Performance cycles. You can drive all of those types of communications through HCM Communicate. You can align and execute on strategy. You can set goals. These are things that happen all the time in all organizations. And you can start with those foundational communications with HCM Communicate. HCM Communicate also integrates with journeys, and this is incredibly powerful. So you may be already creating journeys around certain types of activities, and journeys are ultimately very flexible. So you can have journeys for all kinds of things like promoting career growth in your organization, promoting skill development, or even things like compliance. So what HCM Communicate can do is actually you can take a journey and tie a communication campaign to it. So, we'll actually take an example of this a little later in the presentation, but we, can take a journey for, say, compliance. And, many of us actually had to go through journeys where for return to work, we had to submit information about either vaccination requirements or other local compliance requirements. And with a communication campaign, you can actually tie that journey to a communication campaign and send emails to ask people to complete the journey, and then follow-up emails only to those who haven't completed the journey, so that you drive successful completion of these journeys from your employees, and really, again, make that a much more easier experience rather than having to do that in a separate system. More examples could be around culture. You could use HCM Communicate to encourage, celebrate, promote volunteering activities, other kinds of celebrations, acknowledge recognition and celebration of internal, external events. And maybe senior leaders can use HCM Communicate to drive engagement in town halls, have a feedback loop in terms of what resonated, what they'd like to see more of, what the employees would like to see more of. So all kinds of examples. I mean, we've just gone through 3 slides of examples, and there's many, many more communications that need to happen all the time from HR or from the organization to engage employees, do it in personal, brand engaging ways. And we've enabled all that with HCM Communicate. Let's now go into that example and see some screenshots. We're going to use a campaign here to drive career development through a journey that is part of HCM Cloud. So what we're looking to do is send an email like the one you see on the left to a segment of employees, highlighting all the different learning opportunities that are available within our organization. And with that, you can actually go to a journey and see that an employee can actually take advantage of many different learning opportunities through that journey. So we're looking to drive completion of this career development journey, and we're going to use our HCM Communicate module to drive that through our employees. So when we go into HCM Communicate, the first screen we see here is the overall list of campaigns. In the campaign list, you'll notice that we have a set of campaigns that is already set up. The Grow the Career campaign that we have on the top is the one that we're going to focus on now. And with that, we'll see that the campaigns have certain statuses that are driven out of where you are. So we're not yet having sent this campaign. We're in a draft status. And other campaigns could be scheduled or sent and so on. And you'll see campaigns that either you're an owner or a collaborator on, much like other concepts that you may be familiar with in HCM Cloud. We have certain actions you can take on campaigns, and of course, you can then click to add a campaign. For setting up the campaign, our campaign screen looks something like this. We have the ability to give the campaigns a description, the ability to also assign a campaign a purpose, which here is promoting a journey. And you can see then that you're allowed from the experience to associate that campaign to a specific journey that you have permission to. So here you've associated the campaign to a journey. And now what the campaign is going to do is pick up everyone that has been assigned the journey and automatically make it part of your campaign audience. So no need to separately create an audience. We pick up that journey audience from that career development journey, and we highlight statistics about that audience. So we give you a breakdown of where people are on that journey. In progress, maybe completed, haven't started it yet, or maybe somewhat through that journey. Overdue, maybe they had an actual due date and they haven't actually even had a chance to complete it by the certain due date. And of course, completed as another status. Then you can actually start to create communication. Maybe, this is the first email we're sending about the journey. There's actually been no completions of the journey at this point. You can send it to the entire audience for the journey. And then you can continue to compose those emails as follow-up emails. So this is the email we composed in our rich editor here, where you can see there's a support for a lot of different things, all kinds of rich text, pictures, and tables, and so on, that really help drive your brand, your message, and communication in a very consistent way with your corporate branding and so on. And then you can then create follow-up emails that could be just to certain segments of people who are either overdue on the journey, or even maybe a thank you to people who have completed the journey and so on. So you can create an unlimited number of emails in a campaign and continue to follow up with people who haven't completed the journey, for example, until that you feel like you've got all of the responses in from everyone in the organization. So this kind of marriage of two of these key elements of Oracle Me, Journeys and HCM Communicate, help you drive that communication to the employees in a very effective way. And what the employee sees on their end is just, like any other communication that may be coming from you, a well-formed email with your branding and so on, a link to go ahead and complete that journey. They go ahead and complete that journey on their end. And anytime you want, as part of the campaign metrics, you'll be able to see email metrics, like things like clicks and opens. And since this campaign was associated with a journey, you'll be able to see where you are in terms of trying to get that journey completed. So, one example of a particular kind of campaign, a sophisticated one with a lot of metrics associated with it. And you can imagine, many, many other types of campaigns that you could send with HCM Communicate. Now that we've covered some of the screenshots, you may be wondering, how do I get started? This sounds great. What can I do to adopt HCM Communicate into my organization? And it's actually quite straightforward. It is a new subscription. You do need to talk to your Oracle rep and get a subscription for HCM Communicate as a first step. Once you have a subscription to HCM Communicate, we've found that with our early adopter customers, the configuration is actually quite straightforward. I'll cover the highlights of it in just a moment on the next slide. But typically, it does not take a lot of time or a lot of expertise as these configurations, if someone is familiar with some of the administration of HCM Cloud, can usually be done in a fairly short time. And then you'll want to pilot and roll out. You'll want to think about what are the communication teams you want to start with, and maybe additional communication teams that you'll follow on as users of the system. On the configuration side, it really comes down to a few things. You want to think about roles and permissions. We have permissions in order for people to actually have access to the HCM Communicate system and to be able to use some of those administration capabilities that you see here. With the administration capabilities, you'll want to be able to create audiences so that your campaigners, the people who are using the system on a day-to-day basis, don't have to actually create those audiences. They'll be able to leverage audience lists that you may have created for them. Could be through the eligibility profile engine. We can create all kinds of audience lists, like I said, by slicing and dicing employee data, which is already in HCM Cloud. The other thing you'll want to be able to set up in the configuration is senders. A lot of times your employee communication will come not from the person who's actually creating the campaign, but maybe from a senior leader in the company. And then you'll be able to enable that through our senders functionality. And finally, communication teams. You'll want to be able to associate certain audiences and certain senders with certain communication teams. Those are the teams that should only have permission to send on behalf of someone or to a certain audience. And then finally, in the configuration, you'll be able to create those content templates so that your communicating teams do not need to do that over and over again. So that is kind of the foundational elements in the Fusion setup and maintenance areas that you would do for enabling HCM Communicate. And let's come back to where I started, which is Oracle Me. HCM Communicate, most critical part in some ways of our employee experience platform. It's all about having personalized, clear communications to your employees, and really becomes one of the key pillars here that you see across journeys, touch points, connections, help desk, and digital assistant for Oracle Me. Many of you may have heard this year at HR Tech, the HR Executive magazine was able to announce the HR Products of the Year, and Oracle Me was one of those HR Products of the Year. Ventana Research also gave Oracle Me their award for this year's product innovation. So a lot of really, really great recognition for Oracle Me and HCM Communicate. And I'm excited to see how you take advantage of HCM Communicate in your organization. With that, thank you again for spending some time with me. I'm again Samir Khosla, and on behalf of Oracle and our entire HCM Communicate and overall HCM team, thank you again, and look forward to hearing how you use our platform to have an amazing employee experience for your organization. Thank you.